Tickets available from Ticketmaster.com or from any Amira's performer. Amira is Wichita's longest running dance studio since 1974. We're glad Odyssey serves.
Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH Wichita, KNSS HD2 Clearwater, and Odyssey Sports Station.
Hey Wichita, it's Jacob Albrock. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I'm Bridget Condon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It appears Matthew Stafford does have more football left in him, as the veteran quarterback is expected to continue playing in 2025, according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. The question now is, where will he play his 17th season? The Buffalo Bills find themselves in a similar position as February approaches, once again without the opportunity to play for a Lombardi. Bills general manager Brandon Beane says the loss stings. And when asked why his team can't seem to win the big game, he says, quote, until you do it, you're always going to get questioned. The Jets have agreed to terms with Steve Wilks to become their next defensive coordinator, according to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero. Wilks, who sat out of last season, returns as a part of Aaron Glenn's new staff. And the NFL announcing Thursday a significant decrease in concussions to a historic low in 2024, which included a 17% reduction compared to the 2023 season. This is Matt, NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome into Sports Daily. We are glad to be with you this morning on the Kansas Fan Headquarters, KFH. So happy to be here with you. Still thinking about all the folks affected by the tragedy of a couple of nights ago. It's been a rough 24 hours, 48 hours for the city, and we continue to think about and pray for all the people affected as we learn more about the victims. We're thinking about you, and we're going to do our best to entertain you here for the next couple hours, and hope that you'll join us along the way. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's final preps, Tommy, before the Super Bowl. I mean, this is it. They're done practicing. That's on to New Orleans. We're going to bring in Felix Johnson, who's been helping us out the last few weeks with our Chiefs coverage. We're going to bring him in a little bit later in this hour. Also coming up next hour, TJ Cleveland's going to stop in, talk about some of his reporting yesterday on that plane crash as it pertains to the ice skating angle of this, which has just been so tragic. It all has. So those are the guests for the day. You can get in touch with the program here on KFH. You can leave us your comments on our video streams. Thanks for watching us on 12 News Connected, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. You can listen and leave a message to us on the Odyssey app, which is available as a little microphone. If you're listening to us on the app, you can push that. It sends us a voice message. We get those back in the studio, and we can play those right out over the air. You can reach out to us directly on social media as well. Tommy, good morning. How are you?
You know, hanging in there, ready for the weekend. It's been a really long week. I feel like we've got a lot to catch up on the show today. And I know we talked, some Wildcats yesterday and Shockers yesterday and things like that. But we've got, some different storylines, whether we're talking about the Royals or talking about the NBA, Chiefs coverage, things like that. There's a lot to catch up on that we haven't been able to get to. So looking forward to getting right in.
We'll do that today. We'll also give away some HTO for you, a free iced tea and a free coffee. So stay tuned for your opportunity to win those prizes. What a crazy day. Everything goes to the side, and there are a couple of things, as you mentioned, Tommy, that we will get into here. We'll go, first, I think, at just a couple of the headlines that we did not talk about yesterday as we were, a little frantic and trying to put all the pieces together of what had happened the night before with the tragic plane crash. So this week, the Royals, we can just hit that real quick, Tommy, in this shorter opening segment here. The Royals go and they add, look, I'm going to call it a big ticket free agent. Now, that may be relative to the Royals. If the Dodgers make this same move, would we call it, a big ticket free agent? No, probably not. But the Royals would. And they go and they add Carlos Estevez, who was, a closer at times last year, a guy who's had a 2.45 ERA, a whip under 1. They give him a 2-year, $22 million deal with a club option. So it's a big contract. A $10 million a year deal for a reliever, Tommy, is a big contract for the Royals. And it's one that I think they need to make. I've seen a lot of people say, well, why didn't they spend that money on an outfielder? I'll tell you that I would prefer they spend it in the bullpen. I think there's a better chance they can piece it together in the outfield or go find something in the season, and it'll cost them less than if they've got to go potentially find a high leverage reliever. And Estevez was that last year for two different teams. The Angels and the Phillies pitched well in both places. He's put together a couple of good years of pitching. He's not, like a wipeout guy, Tommy, but he gets the job done. And they're going to have some wipeout guys. So they need as many arms back there as they can get. We've said this before. It goes back to the trade of Brady Singer and all of it. The chances that they replicate what they got out of the rotation last year, even if you're just talking about the health of it, is very small to me. So bolstering that group is the right thing to do. I would rather see that. If that's all the money they spend the rest of the way, I think they made the right call. I'd rather see it there than in the outfield. I'll say it that way.
There's a lot of things that Estevez brings to the table that I think are really, really exciting for the Royals in their bullpen. I mean, his fastball, he can blow you away with it. He's got a couple of other pitches, including a slider that, while he's probably not going to just totally go in and dominate with filthy stuff, like it can get you to swing and miss. And he's been able to do that over the course of his career. You mentioned him being a pretty high level closer for two different teams in the last two seasons, whether we're talking about the Angels or the Phillies. And I think that bringing him alongside Lucas Erceg, I mean, can you imagine that 1-2 punch in the back end of the bullpen? And I don't know if we're talking about Estevez in the 8th and Erceg in the 9th, or you flip flop them, or you can kind of piecemeal together game by game. I don't exactly know what that strategy will look like, but at least having another fully capable guy who can close out games in the back end of the bullpen, I think is huge. And then there's the tantalizing thought of what happens, in the event that Hunter Harvey is healthy and ready to go and is the same sort of guy that the Royals saw before he was hampered by all those injuries. Then you're really cooking there. You're really cooking with fire as far as the guys in the back end of that bullpen.
And there are other guys too. James MacArthur, what if he is back and healthy and kind of finds his groove again, as we've seen in some years. He did kind of put it back together toward the end of the year. It could become a strength.
John Schreiber, I think, was a pretty integral part of that bullpen.
Yeah.
And Angel Zerpa was sort of up and down at times, but I think that he can provide you some quality innings as well.
They have what looks like a good bullpen, not just like an all right, that's enough. Like, this has a chance, I think, to be a good bullpen in baseball. I don't know what they'll do at closer either. I really think Quatraro enjoyed Erceg's versatility, honestly. I don't know that they're going to have, but he's also shown at times he does like to stay consistent. He kind of showed us both last year. He didn't really have a choice. So we'll see on that. I don't know what I would do in that scenario. Erceg certainly earned it last year, but his versatility is so valuable. So we'll see. But more horses back there. And as it pertains to the outfield, if that was the money they had to spend and they don't go do it, I'm okay with riding through the first part of the season to see if MJ Melendez's second half carries over. Because if that happens, I think they're going to be fine out there. I think they'll have enough.
As you're grading the Royals offseason so far. I mean, think about the different moves they've made. They acquire Jonathan India, but they give up Brady Singer for that. They're re-signing Michael Wacha. They're re-signing Michael Lorenzen. And now they're going out and they're signing Carlos Estevez. Those are the four main moves that we've seen JJ Picollo do in this offseason. Where do you grade that, in an A to F type scale?
I mean, there's no chance it replicates the impact of last year's offseason. And that has nothing to do with this season, but only to do it. I would honestly a B plus probably. I was I wouldn't say concerned when the India Singer move was initially made, but then they've backed it up appropriately. So I'm good with it now. They solved an issue. I trust Lorenzen probably, maybe not, maybe just slightly under where I trust Brady Singer and what he's been able to do over his career, but it's close. And then, I think these other moves that they've made, I think a B plus. Now, again, these are relative things. Like if you're the Dodgers or the Yankees or one of these big spending crazy money teams, no, that probably isn't enough in an offseason. But for the Royals, I mean, what are we comparing it to? A couple years ago? I mean, this is they're throwing that money around here now. I would say a B plus. I've liked it.
I'd probably go a little lower than that. I'd probably say B minus with the opportunity to move up. I want to see an outfielder. I don't know if they have the money for it, but I want to see it. And then I can move them up to an A if they can go and do that.
Yeah, we can look and see I haven't even looked to see what outfielders are available. We'll do that. This betting scandal potentially is a big deal. We'll get into that. And of course, Chiefs and college basketball talk too. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, Stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports Daily. Tommy, it's Friday, and it means you got that Friday fit.
Yeah, we do. Our friends over at 3570 Golf Company. They are a locally owned golf apparel company here in Wichita. I'm wearing the Amber Waves golf polo today, which, by the way, this weekend is going to be great golf weather. It's been just terrible weather this entire month for the most part. So I'm going to have to probably try to get out and maybe play 9 holes this weekend. And I'm definitely going to be outfitted with my buddies over at 3570 Golf Co. The Winter family, Dan and Katie Winters, they are building a golf brand that is fit for this part of the country, the heartland. And that's why they're called 3570, I-35, I-70. Go online, go check out all of their apparel. By the way, I can't tell you too much, but they've got a brand new golf polo they're dropping next week, a brand new design that's going to be really, really cool that I'm looking forward to telling everybody about next week that will honor, a lot of what we've got going on here in this part of the country. So check them out online, 35x70golfco.com. Check out all of their apparel. Use the keyword and the promo code Tommy. You can get 10% off right now.
There it is. Look, are you really going to go play golf this weekend?
I think I'm going to play on Sunday. Do you want to join me?
No. I think I must be putting off the wrong vibe here with this I mean, it would be fine this weekend. It'd probably be nice, but
it's like 64 on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be nice, but it's cart path only. I don't know what the wind's gonna be. I love to play golf, but you know how many people have asked me if I'm playing golf this weekend? I'm like, guys, I haven't even thought about golf this weekend. Like, what? I'm not in.
You've got brand new clubs that you got to break in.
Yeah, I know, but it's January 31st.
Yeah, but it'll be February 2nd on
That's
Sunday.
Correct. And I'm still not going to be. And I'm still not going to be like in golf mode.
I remember, when was it? Like the end of November or early December that you and I went out and played, and it was like 50, and you were dying. Like you were so miserable the entire time, and it really wasn't that bad. Like you bundle up enough with you're wearing golf pants and things, but you're shivering. You can't hang. You can't handle it.
I don't like the cold. I don't like anything about it. I could, when I'm old, retire into the desert or whatever it is that, you do
Not
when
the
you hate.
beach. You don't like
Or
the
what do
beach.
they call it? I just learned there's like a term for it. You go and you summer somewhere. Is that
You're
did I use that right?
Well, yeah, you're a snowbird, right?
Well,
Like
no,
you
I know
go-
that term, but I've heard like as a as almost like you go and you summer somewhere. I'm gonna go winter somewhere warm. That's what I'm gonna do if I'm using that correctly. Some point in my life. Right now, I'll just sit here. No, I love the weather. Look, it's been great, and it'll be great this weekend. And yeah, I mean, I could play golf this weekend. I won't be able to, but I mean, it would be. Good luck, everybody. Hey, Crestview, great supporters of the program. They're gonna have 36 holes open this weekend, I assume. And Tommy, I would bet that they are busy because they are people that would love to play golf. Me, I'm good with that simulator for a few more months. Beer's just as good in there as it is out on the course.
It's been nice to get a little bit warmer weather throughout the course of this week to melt off that snow. The rain actually helps melt it off too, So yeah, like I think by the time Sunday rolls around, it might be cart path only, but at the same time, like, man, I'll take it. It's been too long since I've been out there.
Yeah, maybe I'll hit the range. Maybe I'll do that just to scratch the itch, hit those new clubs a little bit. So yeah, at Crestview, great supporters of the program. Give them a call. Ask about this is a good time of the year to join if you're going to think about it. Give them a call. You'll find out why. Tell them we sent you over from Sports Daily.
If our wives can do the Galentine's party at Crestview next weekend, then you and I can play golf this weekend.
Oh yeah, it's not like my wife won't let me go. It's just like there's so much stuff going on right now that it would be tricky. But who knows? Maybe I'll get a wild hair and get out there. But give Crestview a call. We appreciate their support too. A lot of maybe that's why we're putting off the wrong vibe. Got a country club with all the great golf, and you've got a golf apparel. Empire now is as a model for an apparel company. Can I call you a model?
I prefer fashion influencer. That's the term that I prefer.
Okay.
Because when you look at me, I scream.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you a model. More of this like the Zoolander, the male model, Tommy the male model. Yeah. So I suppose I understand it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you playing golf this weekend?" I'm like, "Who are you talking to? Like, what's happening here?"
It's funny the amount of golf we talk on this show. And like, if I'm sure people are probably like, man, like they talk a lot of golf, they must be pretty good. And then if they go out and play with us,
that's the problem. Is it's the wrong vibe, and then I get out there and I go for like 115, and they're like, "What the hell was that?" That's a good round, is what that was. I'll tell you right now, 115. You kidding me? I'll take that all day. Anyway. You asked me the question of grading the Royals offseason before the break. I want to get two things in this segment because we'll talk Chiefs next segment and some other things in hour two. We'll get this and we'll talk about this betting thing, but let's continue our Royals conversation. I would give it a B+ only because when I think about everything that this franchise and this fan base has been through since the glory years of a decade ago, there were so many off seasons where literally nothing of significance was done. So I have to think of the off season in relative terms to this franchise, which is one of the lowest traditional payrolls and footprints or whatever you want to call it in baseball. And I think the level of aggression deserves an increased floor of that grade. I also happen to like the players that they've gone after and the strategy they're using in going after them. So that's what elevates it for me. Their outfield right now is lacking, and who knows if they'll make a move. Right now, pretty much based on every projection you'll look at, it's Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez, and Kyle Isbell. Now, with Isbell, you get some defense there at center field. I think with the additions to the lineup, if he's hitting 9-hole but playing that kind of outfield on defensively, I think you take that, honestly. So I'm actually okay with that. I'm good with an MJ Melendez, experiment to see if he's got it. The other thing for me that I don't know that people are thinking enough about, there will very likely be a path for Massey or India or Michael Garcia, even like one of these guys can learn how to play a corner outfield spot. Massey probably already does know how. So I think that's something to consider too. Like they still have like one extra guy in a lot of respects. So They'll have to rotate out Salvador Perez. Like, they've got to rotate some players. I think they're going to be fine. And I think the better path, and that's more likely, that I'll predict way too early on January 31st, is that they don't go add like an everyday outfielder through free agency, and they utilize either Massey or India. One of these infield guys will learn how to play an outfield spot, and then they'll be able to utilize Salvador Perez more as a DH. That would be my guess. That's what I think that they'll do. And then, of course, Freddie Fermin, I think, earned more playing time last year. So I think they have enough guys. I don't know how it looks, on the defensive rotations or whatever, but I do think they have enough. And then here's the other part of it, Tommy. Like, who's still out there? I don't know, man. Adam Duvall.
Oh, don't do
that. Joey Gallo, Tommy Pham is still out there. You could take a shot with that. David Peralta's had some good years. Alex Verdugo. I don't know that there's anybody that's just loads better than Hunter Renfroe when Hunter Renfroe's going. So I don't know that there's a lot out there they would be able to go at anyway.
But isn't that the key word? Like, if he can get going, like if he is the Hunter Renfroe of a couple of years ago, as opposed to the Hunter Renfroe last year. My concern with the outfield as it stands right now with the Royals, at least the projected 3 guys to start in the outfield, is that on paper, like from a just projection point of view, yeah, you could probably ride with that, but the Royals rode with that last year. And the 2 guys out of the outfield that hit the best as far as average is actually Hunter Renfroe had the highest average out of the 3 at 243, and he was below the Mendoza line for a good part of the early season. And he was the highest one. MJ Melendez hit just over.
Melendez got to a point where
just over 240, right?
Right, I get it, but didn't Melendez for you get to a place by the end of the year that you were very comfortable with him in the lineup? He was one of their hottest hitters down the stretch. Like, I think he snapped out of whatever that was.
Renfroe turned it around too in the second half of the season. That's great, but you can't, if you're going to ride with those 3 guys that you rode with for a large part of last season, all 3 of them, and especially Renfroe and Melendez, have to get off to a better start than what they got off to last year. And I think, in my opinion, if you're going to put those 3 guys out there to start the season, Matt Quatrero has got to understand, like, they should at least be on a shorter leash than what they were on to start the year last year. Like, they rode those guys for too long, where and I don't have it in front of me, but I remember at one point the outfield OPS was the worst in Major League Baseball with the Royals outfield. And that was like midway through the season. I think it got better. They were still, I think, in the bottom collection of teams. But that hurt the Royals early on. And so, like, you've got to make sure that if they duplicate that this season early on, I think you need to have them on a shorter leash. And if that means having guys like Michael Garcia and Jonathan India and, maybe others that can go in and maybe play some outfield, I would love for them to get some outfield depth. And maybe you're not going out and signing somebody that would be an everyday starter in an outfield position, but at least you could look at to say, okay, it's not working with those 3 guys. We need to make a change on May 1st, as opposed to, what are we going to do in July at outfield?
Yeah, May 1st would be fine. I don't know that most teams are willing to trade. I mean, there may be
I'm saying you bring somebody in now that you have on the bench that you can make a change with on May 1st.
They have other young players that they have acquired that they feel like have upside too. So you have to remember those guys: Blanco, Velasquez, Weimer, Waters. There's room for those guys to grow too. I just think it's far more likely that we see, Michael Massey play right field or Jonathan India, whichever one needs to play. And here's why. The outfield was a hole last year, but man, you just went and you made one of the bigger moves of the offseason to bring in Jonathan India. So if you look at the lineup as a whole now, I mean, we all sit and look and hope that it's one of the best top 4 hitters in Major League Baseball. And I absolutely think it could be if India gets on base at that clip with those 3 hitting behind him and they're healthy, for sure. You also have the ability with that sort of movement to get Freddie Fermin in the lineup. You have the ability to give Michael Garcia a little more leash. He showed us at times that, He was pretty good last year, and then he showed us at times that he wasn't. But I think there's enough upside there that you take. But those guys are like hitting in your 8 and 9 holes, right? So the line, they're going to score enough runs, I think, or they better after you go acquire a guy like John. They scored a ton of runs last year, and they had one of the worst leadoff situations in baseball. So I would suspect, unless they go bring Tommy Pham back, unless it's just like Tommy Pham doesn't have a deal, still wants to play, they can get him in there to go play center field or whatever for a little bit, or just get maybe. But honestly, like that, and this is why I go back to that liking where they allocated their dollars to the bullpen. They have tons of different ways they can attack the outfield with what's on the roster. Bullpen arms, they either got it or they don't got it, right? Like there's not much you can do there. But Fermin and Salvador Perez is going to need to play some first. He's going to need to DH a little bit, which means Fermin has to get in. And what are you going to do? Not play India or Massey when that happens?
No, not at all.
So when that happens, they got to have a place to go. And that place to go is going to be a corner outfield. That's my prediction. Salvador Perez is not going to start 162 games at catcher. Okay. So if he doesn't, but he might start that many games somewhere. So if he doesn't start it at catcher and he's got to be the DH or the first baseman, that means India or Massey has got to find a place to go. You don't want them out of the lineup. And they'll go to the corner outfield. It just makes too much sense. I have full spring training to go out there and learn how to play right field. You don't think those guys can't figure that out? Because I do. Or maybe it's Maikel Garcia. I don't know who it is. Whatever it is. Like they can learn that enough where I think they do have enough there. I'm so happy that they chose instead to go bolster the bullpen. Because again, I think the most difficult thing about repeating what they did last year is banking on that starting rotation being as good and as healthy as it was. If it is, the Royals are 100% a World Series contender. They may be anyway, even if you think there will be some regression there through, ability or injury. And I happen to fall into that camp right now. So I think they're good. I think this is the right way to spend their money, and they bring in a good reliever, and that'll help them more.
The other thing that I think that this Estevez signing points the finger towards is that it's probably more likely than not that we're going to see Kris Bubic back in the starting rotation and, as the fifth starter. I mean,
I think at least that's the plan. Yeah.
I think that's the plan because, you're probably projecting a rotation, obviously, of Riggins and Lugo at the top, Waka, Lorenzen, and then probably Bubic at number 5. Because if you weren't going to go out and get Estevez, Bubic was capable in the bullpen coming off of Tommy John surgery. And so I know that JJ Piccolo at the beginning of the offseason said that their goal and plan was to get Bubic back in the rotation. But I'm sure that in his mind, he's thinking, well, I need another capable arm in the bullpen, though, to replace what Bubic could bring us in the bullpen. And so I think it tells you that. I think it also probably tells you that we're probably not going to see a lot of Michael Lorenzen coming out of the pen. Like he's probably going to have
he's going to be there. Yeah.
Right? Where they used him as kind of that hybrid guy last year. And Lorenzen can do that sort of thing. Maybe from time to time, if necessary, he could go throw an inning or two out of the pen, but more than likely, I mean, he's going to be solidified in that rotation. But I do think that we ought to look at Kris Bubic being that fifth starter in the rotation this upcoming season.
I absolutely think that's the plan. They have a lot of options for that spot, and they'll work their way through it. It's a good problem to have. What team in Major League Baseball has ever thought, man, we got too many good relievers? Like, oh, geez, how do we even use these guys? No, that's never been a problem, never will be a problem. It's a major look at what the Dodgers are spending all their money on.
And you mentioned just a little bit ago, like in our first segment, I think you brought up James McArthur. And you know what? Can he be a depth piece in the bullpen? Okay, yeah, that's fine. But there were too many times before the trade deadline last year that the Royals had no choice but to use him in high leverage situations. And he was not ready for that. He was not in a position in his career to be able to do that consistently. And so he will be a piece of the bullpen, I'm sure.
He's your fourth best option right now at the end of a game.
But think about it this way. At one point last season, he was their only option.
I know. That's what I mean. That's how much better this bullpen on paper is going into the season. Because of the trades they were able to make and because of the addition of Estevez now, that shaky bullpen, and it was shaky last year, becomes a strength for a team where that was sort of its only weakness. That and, oh, wait, we don't have a leadoff hitter. So back to your original question of the B+, the strategy and the allocation of dollars and how it all fits together, that is where, for the Royals, to me, this has been, they haven't spent the kind of money they spent last offseason, but they have been very shrewd in the way that they did it. And I didn't expect them to spend that kind of money. I don't think they have that kind of money. But if you're the fan base right now and you're trying to be sold a new stadium and you're trying to be sold that, yes, we're going to be competitive and yes, we're going to do these things, the last 2 seasons back that up.
And I think that, the check boxes, I mean, the number one box to be checked going into the offseason was to find a consistent leadoff hitter. At least in my mind, that was what they needed to do.
Yeah,
they did that with India. They were able to backfill their rotation. They were able to get additional bullpen pieces. I would love to see another outfielder that can help them offensively outside of the middle 3 in the lineup. But right now, it's been a good offseason for them. I don't know if it's been a great one, but it's been a good one.
And maybe they can trade for an outfielder. I just don't know who that outfielder is based on who's out there. We're going to come back. We will talk Chiefs with Felix Johnson. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-1 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. We are rocking and rolling here on a Friday. We've got Felix Johnson in to help us out a little bit here with our Chiefs coverage. We appreciate Felix being back with us this week on Sports Daily. Felix, this is the real week. Right? This is the week it's supposed to get done. This is the week of work for these teams, and no team right now knows how to do it better than the Chiefs. They seem to do it every year lately.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. I said this a long time ago, but I think the worst thing you can give a defensive coach is momentum, some time, like this, a sack on early in a drive that can really rough things up. I think the worst thing you can give an offensive coach is time. And that's obviously true with Andy Reid. He's incredible off a bye week, incredible in week one. And obviously we've seen in the Super Bowl, they've come out with incredible game plans. And even if it doesn't come out until late in the second half or whatever it may be, I mean, I was rewatching some highlights from Super Bowl 54. The Chiefs were down 10 with 7 minutes to go and still won by 11. So, and I know that's a completely different Chiefs team and everything, but at the same time, I think that the worst thing you can give Andy Reid is a week to figure something out.
I would love to be in the room with Steve Spagnuolo as he is trying to game plan this Eagles offense, and especially after watching what Philly did to the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, and Saquon's number of touchdowns and Jalen Hurts getting into the end zone and all of that. It's going to be just probably the ultimate chess match to see what Spagnuolo does compared to this high-octane Philly offense. What do you think, as we're a little over a week away from the game, some of the key factors should be that Steve Spagnuolo should take a look at?
Well, I think that obviously Saquon Barkley, he's having one of the greatest running back years we've ever seen, and that's pretty crazy coming off of an offseason where we didn't think running backs were valuable at all. And so I think that it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be basically, to me, the same game plan that was in Super Bowl 57, where basically Jalen Hurts, go ahead and try and beat us through the air. And he had a great game, but at the end of the day, he had a massive play that went the wrong direction for him, and that became the fumble that was returned for a touchdown. So I think it's going to be like, all right, put the game in Jalen Hurts' hands, but Saquon's not beating us on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know. So here's the way I look at it. Felix Johnson joining us here. Felix writing for Field Vision, for Arrowhead Addict, covering the Chiefs. I don't look, you don't want to let Saquon get you, but I think the Chiefs would rather them try that than let Jalen Hurts run, than let him throw with those receivers. Because I think the Chiefs are better equipped to handle Saquon than most. No, you don't know how you handle him this year, but their corners can tackle, right? Mm-hmm. You watch that play, that play he broke off against Washington. That's not likely to happen to the Chiefs. They're not going to have three dudes in their secondary miss tackles that way. And
Right,
so
right.
I think they're more comfortable with trying to handle Saquon than trying to allow Jalen Hurts to do the things that we've seen them struggle with over the years, which is a quarterback start running all over the place, pick up those third downs, extend drives. I think they would rather have it go into Jalen Hurts's hands through the air than on the ground. And I think that's what you have to make sure he doesn't do is run around. He's healthy. He looked fine. So that, to me, that's priority one. Don't let him get momentum running the ball.
Right, and I think so much of what Philadelphia's been able to do and what they've been able to do since, I don't know, since forever, since they fired Andy Reid, honestly, is they've had an incredible offensive line year in and year out, and that's what they've done this year. They're moving furniture up front. You guys are talking to a former offensive lineman. I love the way their front is playing. I just don't necessarily see the front being this Kansas City front after what we've seen Chris Jones be able to do in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl specifically. We've seen Charles Omenihu, I love the clip that came out this weekend of him saying, I finally get to play in the Super Bowl, but like, oh wow, Charles Omenihu finally gets to play in the Super Bowl. That's really huge for the Chiefs. Then George Karlaftis having a huge role in the pass rushing attack, and then FAU coming along in the last couple of weeks. They've had Mike Dana having his little spurts every now and then. So I think the Chiefs' defensive line is just too good. And I might be wrong about this because the Eagles' offensive line might be the best in the world. Yeah. But at the same time, I think the Chiefs' defensive line won't allow this offensive line to start climbing the linebackers and safeties. Therefore, Saquon's going to get tackled by Nick Bolton, Reed, and Trent McDuffie.
Felix, I've been talking about this all week long after the AFC Championship game. To me, it was one of the more important offensive game plan decisions that was made in the game for Kansas City against the Bills. And that was some of these designed runs for Patrick Mahomes where he rolled out to his right. He could have passed the football, but instead he kept it and he ran for first downs. That happened a couple of different times where that's not new in his career, but kind of new this year. It's a different wrinkle in the offense for Kansas City. Even Greg Rousseau, mentioned after the game that there were some of those plays that they weren't ready for. They had never seen before defensively for the Buffalo Bills. How important do you think that wrinkle was in what the Chiefs did last week? And do you think we'll see much more of that in the Super Bowl?
Well, and a harmless little plug here, but my article that went out on Field Vision this week kind of went through the West Coast offense and talking kind of a lot about Bill Walsh, Mike Holmgren, and Andy Reid. And I wish I would have I went over 1,000 words, and I got in trouble for that, but that's neither here nor there. But
2025, Felix. Don't do that fine anymore, right?
It's fine. It's whatever. I got to hit publish on it. It's up to me.
Yeah.
I think that the interesting part about Andy Reid's early career is that he was uber conservative, and we still see it every now and then on a 4th and short from like our own 40-yard lines. Like, got Patrick Mahomes, go ahead and get those 2 yards real quick. You want to see Andy Reid be that guy. And I think that it's really interesting to see post Patrick Mahomes hurting himself or dislocating his kneecap. Matt Moore comes in for 3 games in 2019. They don't call a designed run up until last year's Super Bowl and this most recent game. 3 times in 5 years, the Kansas City Chiefs decide to go for a designed quarterback run, whereas you see on Buffalo's side, every 2 seconds is like, all right, Josh, here's the ball, figure it out. And so I really enjoy that Andy Reid has, I mean, it's crazy to say this about a 60-something-year-old coach who's been around as long as he has, but he's matured into realizing like, oh yeah, I've got Patrick Mahomes. He's going to figure it out. We can give him the option of, all right, we can pass it, we can run it, whatever it is, he's going to make the right play, the correct play.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Plus, Mahomes just does it in the Super Bowl. Go look at his Super Bowl number. Like this is his comfort zone. I feel like there's about a 100% chance, Felix, that we have a highly significant late game tush push. Like the planets are aligning for this. The stars are aligning for this. The Eagles are the best at it, and the Chiefs, they're kind of showing they're the best at defending it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. Like we're going to have a key spot in this game where it's like, all right, here we go. What do you like? Do you think that they can pull? They obviously they did a great job on the broadcast of talking about how the Chiefs had a very specific plan for the Bills and the way they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they can replicate the success they had defensively against it when they're playing the Eagles?
I'm not sure what the free agency situation looks like right before the Super Bowl, but I say go sign Frankie Louvu. I think you go get Frankie Louvu and tell him to do exactly what he did, because honestly, it's the tush push is one of the most frustrating plays in football to me, because we talk about the defense being at such a disadvantage all of the time, except for in that moment, because the defense can't really tush push themselves. They can't really time it up correctly. I think Frankie Louvu did his best to figure it out, and in that spot, it's just such a weird spot for an official to come in and say, we can give this team the score, even though they haven't scored quite yet. And Frankie Louvu and the Commanders decided we're in a spot to do something like this. But I think that the Chiefs and the Bills, they run that play so differently because they have two such different quarterbacks. Josh Allen's so upright and vertical in the way he plays, and Jalen Hurts, for lack of a better term, is a bulldog. He's going right. It's a tush push with him. He's going directly behind his center and pushing his tush as well, along with getting his tush push. I hate this play more than anything.
We've said the word tush a lot here in the last couple of minutes.
Even before we started talking about that.
It's very true. Hey, one thing that I think has been so much fun to follow throughout the playoff run, and really even going back to the regular season, and now that, it's culminating in the Super Bowl, is Kareem Hunt's redemption story. And the fact that, he's finally getting to play for a Super Bowl with the Chiefs after everything that transpired with him. And, it was something that I've been, kind of advocating for throughout the playoffs, is that I feel like he should be running back one with this offense in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean that Isaiah Pacheco doesn't have a very useful role, but I just think with what Kareem Hunt brings to the table, the Chiefs are better off when they lean on him more. And they did that in AFC Championship to really good results, I feel like.
I agree with you in certain spots. I think it's more of like a 50-50 role between Pacheco and Kareem, just because that's how Andy Reid's going to do things. If he doesn't have a Brian Westbrook or LaShawn McCoy, he's just going to have a running back by committee. My biggest thing is that it's probably not going to matter. Vic Fangio's best game plan in this particular game is probably to keep Kansas City in second and long and third and long, and that's by stopping the run. And Kansas City, Andy Reid doesn't like to run the ball until the fourth quarter sometimes, and so he might get away with 12 rushes all the way halfway through the third quarter. And so it may not even matter which guy is getting more carries or whatever it is, because it comes down to, Patrick Mahomes and these receivers are going to have to figure it out on second and long, third and long, and maybe fourth and long.
Felix, let's do it again next week one more time here. You can go find all Felix's coverage ahead of the big game at Field Vision, at Arrowhead Attic. You can follow him on X at Felix R. Johnson. We appreciate it. We'll do it again one more time. We'll get some predictions and have a little more time to stew on what should be an incredible Super Bowl matchup.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, gentlemen.
There goes Felix Johnson. Always appreciate that. Great coverage there. Great insight there. And we'll continue that next week as we get ready for the Super Bowl, Tommy. Just we're there now. Now is all the silliness. All the silliness begins now for the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Can I just say also, I'm really glad that we have a week off. As much as I love football, as much as I love the NFL, this week has been long and exhausting. If we had the Super Bowl this weekend on top of everything else, I'm not sure I would have been able to get through the week. So it's been nice to have this week off. And I'm not a Pro Bowl guy. I don't think I'm going to get into the Pro Bowl really at all. I mean, I think that there were some Pro Bowl things that happened last night. I don't know. I didn't really follow it.
I don't know. It's been a long week for a lot of reasons. A lot of people are sick right now. And of course, our entire city is emotionally sick about what happened just a few days ago. We're going to bring TJ Cleveland in on that. TJ is so good at put on his news hat yesterday and covered the U.S. figure skating angle of the tragedy. So we'll bring a little of his insight from how that's affecting the sports community just in a really wide-reaching and tragic way. But that's next. We'll tell you how you can help these families and these victims too. There is a way to do that now, and that's been set up. So we'll do that off the top of the next hour. Also coming up in the next hour, we'll get to this story. It's just weird, man. This game fixing potential, Jonte Porter was involved in that, and now Terry Rozier, and there's some claims that it goes down to college basketball, and a team in the American is listed as one of these teams. Some really strange stuff, and it does bring up some interesting legislation that's potentially out there as it pertains to all this? I mean, Pandora's box is open. We're not going back now. So how do we make it better? We'll get into that as well in the second hour. Get you ready for a college basketball weekend. That's all coming up. Sports Daily, hour 2 coming up next. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Another hour of Sports Daily. Want to say thank you to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up with great coffee. They're in the Odyssey Studios. Everybody needed it, certainly. The last couple of days, it has been a really, really tough time for the city. We saw a lot of great things, great support coming in yesterday. As we're going to bring in TJ Cleland in just a minute, we'll kind of talk about this impact to the skating community and just that really, really sad angle of what was a great positive for the city and all of these things and how it was impacted by the flight crash there in DC. So many victims we're learning about now, and it is just a gut punch after a gut punch after a gut punch. Every story you hear, I do want to take some time and say that there is a way. I know people want to help in any way that they can. There is a fund that's been put together by the Wichita Foundation. It's called ICT Together, and 100% of that money will go to those affected by this tragedy. So that has been put together, and I think the easiest way I know how to tell you how to get there right now is that story is at kwch.com, and it's probably a lot of places too, but I know there's a link there, so you can follow that if you would like to help in that way. You can. That fund has been set up. We saw a lot of other ways that people were supporting those victims in any way you can. There's nothing you can say or do, but we try because we're a community, and I think that showed yesterday. All right, we bring in TJ Cleland here. TJ put on the news hat yesterday, as I did, and we all did, as we're trying to cover this tragedy and do what we can to tell stories and do these things. TJ, you were on the assignment yesterday for 12 News for the figure skating part of this, and that has been such a wild thing to see unfold, this great and successful event that so many people worked on and get here. And then you hear that so many of the people that were here for that were flying home. What a tragic thing to see happen. 17 victims somehow tied into that skating community. That was tough yesterday.
Yeah, it's just been kind of crazy the past 2 days, just dating back to after the thing happened, and you had no idea what's going on. And it's kind of, when you're in the news business, it's kind of just throwing it's like trying to take everything from a fire hydrant all at once and figuring out what you can learn. And then to see just somebody say that they think that there were some figure skaters on that flight, and then kind of learn that, there was figure skaters on this flight, and then to learn that not even like figure skaters, these are like the figure skating prodigies, basically. I mean, these are 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds on this flight that they're here for the national development team, basically. And that's, like I said, they're the prodigies. They're supposed to be the future of U.S. figure skating. So to lose anybody sucks. To lose a kid sucks even worse. And then just in the terms of the sports world, not that it really makes that much of a difference right now, but to see what the passion and the talent that these guys had, guys and girls had, to lose that is just another angle. And as you said, it's just gut punch after gut punch right now.
There's a pretty passionate local figure skating community here in Wichita, and I think that unless you are connected in that world in some regard, you may not know that exists here in this community. I know you had an opportunity to, talk with a couple of people that are very intimately connected with the local figure skating community. I can imagine that, just their emotions are, through the roof in the aftermath of all of this.
Yeah, I was actually lucky enough. Last summer, we did a story on that figure skating club that was here, just kind of previewing what was supposed to come last week and just talking about the sport and everything. And so, just reaching back out again last week and kind of seeing how big of a deal this is going to be, because, I'm not that tied into the figure skating community, obviously, but just kind of learning about that and what they have going on. It was, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Like, compared to some of the other cities around the country, Wichita's got a pretty good base to base everything off of. And they were obviously a huge part of coordinating everything, but specifically for this developmental team that was lost, majority or portion of them were lost on the flight. The Wichita Figure Skating Club was kind of coaching these kids. Like, they were the ones they were at the ice center for, like, it was like Monday and Tuesday at a camp, and like that was the thing that they were most tied into. And they told me Jolene Taylor's the president of the figure skating club, and she talked to so many of these kids, and she said she like followed them on Instagram to follow up on them, because she could tell they're going to be successful, and she wants to follow the journey. And then you wake up and you see they're taking a picture of a flight wing getting on a flight going back home, and just to see that, obviously it's hard on anybody, but to get to know these kids the way that they did, it's got to suck.
Yeah, it's talking to my wife last night. It's just so strange. We unfortunately in the news business have to cover a lot of terrible things. It comes with the territory. It is what it is. This one is different because this hasn't happened in a generation, and it's so relatable for all of us, right? Just getting on a flight with the family. That is, I think, why it's hitting so close to home for so many people. And there were families involved there too, not just the skaters. There's so many victims, and it's all so tough. And, we're going to learn more about them today, I know. And, just everybody hang in there. Again, ICT Together has that fund. If you'd like to help those victims, you can do that. You can follow that link at kwch.com and a variety of other places, but it's put together by the Wichita Foundation. It's hard, TJ. We see that stuff, but yesterday we also saw a prayer vigil. Everybody wants to help. It is a community here that is far-reaching. It is wild whenever these things happen, when you see how far-reaching it is. So hopefully that ice skating community and that figure skating community here, like all the others for the people affected, are positively touched in that way by everybody else in the community. And we invite anybody who needs those resources or anything to call the news team. We can help if we can. You took a lot of those calls on the night of. You were also there as this unfolded, going through the night. So appreciate all the hard work on that. I know it's tough. It's tough. It's emotionally draining. So appreciate it. Thanks for hopping in here, and good luck with the rest of the coverage today. And we'll be keeping our eyes on it and helping in any way we can.
Absolutely. The one thing I keep looking forward to, it's going to become, more normal every day. This is not normal, but life is going to be more normal every day. And, you got high school basketball tonight, and that's the best part about sports, is that no matter what's going on, sports are going to happen basically, and you can look forward to that. So
I think we remind ourselves of why we love these things so much, because when you're as sad as we all collectively are as a community, those things, you're celebrating the lives of people. There were a lot of people connected to the sports world in that tiny little sliver that were affected here, whether it's hunting. There's a hunting group involved in this. It's all just so tragic. And we can't tell everybody out there that's affected by it in any way how much we're thinking about you, praying for you. Again, if you'd like to help, the Wichita Foundation has a good fund, ICT Together. They're saying 100% of that money will go to the victims or people affected by this tragedy. So check that out. TJ, appreciate it. We will talk again soon.
Yep, sounds good.
There's TJ Cleland. It's been tough.
It has been.
We love everybody out there at the end of the day. And I hope everybody reminds themselves of that in these moments. There's a lot of questions that are going to need to be answered. And hopefully we get answers to those questions. And, in the meantime, just reach out to somebody and tell them you love them, especially if they're affected by this, and lift them up if you can. It's just really, really sad.
One of the things that I thought about yesterday in the midst of everything is, and actually TJ mentioned this, that while this isn't normal, life does get more normal every day that passes after, something like this. Wichita has, I think we're unique in the fact that this sort of thing has happened before to our community. It's been a long time, but you go back to the 70s, you go back to the Wichita State football plane crash. You go back to the plane that crashed in Wichita back in the 60s, that killed people in a neighborhood in South Wichita. Being so intimately connected to the aviation world in this city. Things have happened before in this city. I remember going 10 years ago and covering a plane crash out at the old Mincottnet Airport at the Flight Safety Building. And I put on my news hat that day, and I was out on site when that happened, and that killed a couple of people out at the old airport. Things like this have happened in this community before, and really even with the connection to sports, like I mentioned, the Wichita State football team, that was the main contributing factor that led to the demise of the football program at Wichita State 15 years after the event happened. Now you've got the figure skating, connection with all of this that happened yesterday in DC. This is something that, while tragic and awful and everything, it's happened in this community before. So I say that because we are, I think, uniquely able to help in a situation like this. We know, sort of how to come together in a situation. And that's, I think, what makes Wichita so special.
It is. We are together. Like, we are together in these moments, no matter what they are. We are. If it's a weather tragedy, whatever the tragedy is. So we're here for everybody too. Hope everybody is doing okay as you can be. It's all relative, I suppose. And we'll continue to try and provide you something else to think about. We'll continue our sports conversations next. It's Sports Daily. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people. We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lives from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily here on KFH, and you can listen to KFH Radio for your chance at the ultimate trip to Vegas in March. Winning is easy. Just download the free Odyssey app, log in and listen to KFH Radio. Listen each day for a minimum of an hour for your daily entry. Includes travel and accommodations for 4 to Las Vegas, plus $20,000 in spending cash. Stay at the Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, and visit the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Get all the info with this national contest right there on the Odyssey app or at kfhradio.com. Vegas for March Madness is pretty good stuff. I've done it once. It was fun. It was as fun as you can imagine. It's everything that you would think it is. So good luck if you want to.
Well, hey, now we get a chance to do it right here in Wichita this year. I'm looking forward to that.
That's right. I am too, man. I am too. Kansas, do your job, Kansas. Come on, do your job. Get here to Wichita. Let's make this thing as awesome as it can be. Just come on. That's all we ask for. We'll get to college basketball talk in just a little bit. Tommy, I do want to talk about this gambling story. Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated, others have talked about it. So Terry Rozier is apparently involved in something. You might remember Jonte Porter. It has a lot to do with player props and potentially players basically shaving player props, which is, it's different, I suppose, than like point shaving to win or lose a game, but not really. Like, it's the same issue, right? This is the danger of introducing gambling as openly as we have. But before everybody brings the pitchforks, I would tell you this has been happening in gambling before gambling was as openly accepted as it is now. This was still an issue. You had the referee situations of the past. You had the Black Sox. Like, it's always been an issue. It's why it's like the number one rule of all these leagues is the integrity of this. This is interesting, though, because and the way maybe we'll take it off the top, and you can talk about the other stuff with the NBA if you want, but what gives me interest is it apparently in this article is being alleged to have bled down into college basketball. And I do think there is a difference when we're talking about betting. I think there is a difference in the pros and in college, maybe less so than there used to be through NIL, but there are too many players that are not, making exorbitant amounts of money to play the sport in mid-level or low-level college basketball, which is allowed to be bet on. The solution that has been offered in the legislation that has been offered in a lot of states, Charlie Baker is on board, who runs the NCAA now, that we should not be doing college athlete prop bets for this reason. And I think I agree. I think that would eliminate the temptation in a lot of ways to have this issue. So if, and look, everybody knows I like to bet. Everybody knows I'm a proponent of this and let people make responsible decisions. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do everything we can to make it the safest and the best that we can. And if it's a reasonable solution to help this, at least at the college level. I don't think you'll ever stop it at the pro level, whether there's betting or not. But at the college level, I do think you can eliminate the ability for young people to make very poor decisions. We do it all the time. We don't let kindergartners smoke cigarettes for a reason, right? Like, young people aren't ready to make these decisions. The temptations are different than when you're older and understand consequence a little bit better. So if eliminating the player props for college sports is the way this needs to go, I think I support it. I think I'm on board with doing that. I don't have an issue with that.
You mentioned people bringing out the pitchforks, and that's going to happen, I think, regardless of it. But remember, this sort of thing has gone on forever. Maybe not quite to this specific situation, but everybody points at the biggest stories over the years, the Pete Rose situation. And, you had the point shaving scandal in college basketball back in the 80s that had the mob ties and, Henry Hill and all of that. Like, that was a big deal. I mean, you go all the way back to the Black Sox, right? Like, this sort of thing has gone on as long as you've had professional sports or any kind of sports for that matter. And you've had people with the ability to bet on it, whether it's legal or illegal. People are going to do that sort of thing. I've always been a huge proponent in it's going to happen regardless. So put some guardrails in place to be able to protect you mentioned the word integrity of these games. That's why, like in the Jonte Porter situation, and he was caught and he was banned for life from the game. Like, that sort of thing happened. And the guardrails were in place to protect the integrity of the game. So I don't think you're ever going to be able to stop it, but you can punish it quickly and swiftly and aggressively when it does happen. And so I think that's what we're probably going to continue to see in this particular situation. Again, I have no idea what the outcome of this will be. I'll tell you that my only, I guess, I don't even want to say criticism, but concern in all of this is that we're talking about a pattern of games 2 years ago, and we're just now getting to the point to where it's being released. And
the investigation is just getting to the point where they're talking about it.
Right.
Jonte Porter was kicked out a while ago.
I know. I'm talking about this particular situation. Like, we're talking about, the prop bets with Terry Rozier being 2 years ago. I feel like if you're going to be able to do it, you need to have it done swiftly. And I understand due process. I understand innocent until proven guilty. All of this stuff you have to do in investigation. But if players are not going to be dealt with until years down the line, then I feel like you need to have a better way to be able to take care of this in a quicker and more expedient situation.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that that's going to happen. At the college level, there's certainly, Charlie Baker said, we've got the most, basically the most people working this kind of stuff than anybody, and it still takes a long time. So that's his point. Just eliminate the prop bet. Like, let's not have this temptation even be out there. If it's just like the point shaving thing, that's much harder to do. Coaches could even control that better. It wouldn't be that hard for a player to see that he's got an over-under prop on rebounds to just strategically not get enough rebounds. You know what I mean?
Right. You're right as far as the actual gameplay is concerned, to be able to, I don't know, manipulate what your prop bet is.
Yeah.
But what becomes more complicated is what's the gain that you get from that, and how do you then conceal that? That becomes the more difficult part of it, because I guarantee that, these investigations are going back and tracing who all made the bets. And now that it's all
they've made the arrests. That's
and
where
the
we are.
connections to the players, and then like the backstory behind all, like that is the nearly impossible thing to get away with. You can get away with, hey, if I'm a player and my prop bet is 15 points, like how do I go about like not, making it obvious that that's happening?
You can't bet it yourself, right? So that's why that reason is there. I think we all understand that you can't bet on your own sport. They're very, 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 very strict for that for a reason. But again, there are bad actors in all walks. You don't punish the good actors because of the bad actors.
You just make sure the guardrails are in place to protect the integrity.
That's right. You put the guardrails in place. I think about laws when we're driving a lot, when we do this, seatbelt laws, or maybe, you know what, maybe an even better example is open container in a vehicle, right? Open container. Does that mean that everybody that has an open container in their vehicle is driving drunk? No, it does not mean that. But you're putting in a guardrail to make sure that the chances of that happening are much, much lower. Right. That's why that law got put on the books.
We, even in a little inside baseball, as you like to say, we even have that sort of thing in our business. Like, our listeners hear us talk about the phenomenal sponsors we have on our program. We are required to disclose that they are sponsors of the program. And it doesn't mean that, nobody is allowed to do that, but there are guardrails in place to make sure that there is that sort of transparency where we're disclosing that. There is no question about whether or not there is compensation being received for the mention. Like the guardrails.
Because we talk about things that we're not compensated for all the time.
All the time we do, but we have to make sure when it is something that there is compensation being provided for, that we are disclosing that. So it doesn't mean like that nobody, like in our world, like that we work with, there are no bad actors. We have to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, but the guardrails are in place to protect the integrity. That's the key word there, to protect the integrity of what we're doing and what our industry does. It's the same thing in this sort of situation.
And there are people that will, whether on purpose or quite honestly on accident, not do the right thing there too.
You're right.
Does that mean everybody should be punished and you shouldn't allow sponsorships? No. Right. You wouldn't have have a blossoming male model career if that were in the place.
You and I have both had, I'm sure I know, at least I have had people probably in jest, in joking or whatever, say, hey, you want to give me a plug on my thing that I've got going on, or this? Well, I mean, no, because we have to make sure we go through the proper channels to make that sort of thing happen. And this is the same sort of situation. We have to make sure that we are, at least in our world, that we are, we're bound by that we are following the proper procedures and that sort of thing. Same thing when it comes to, sports betting in this entire arena.
And as it pertains to this particular thing, yes, if there is a solution to help young people at all levels who do not get compensated in a way where they can turn down somebody that gives them the option to make a bad choice, I've got no problem with that. Again, this is all, we're all like learning how this is going to ultimately work together. And we're all trying to find the solutions for it. The solution that's been offered up to me, if this is the case and this has bled down, there's a temple connection in this story, American Athletic Conference, like that obviously impacts us here, then yeah, we ought to think about that and we ought to do it. It's no different than trying to navigate how do we make NIL appropriate and proper, and how do we go through play, like it all, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Don't you think also that really what the whole industry of sports wagering has been able to do is bring the dark into the light? Like that's really what it's like. Who knows? Like going back to the Deontay Porter situation, who knows if that would have ever been brought to light had there not been the guardrails, again, the restrictions, the regulations, the checks and balances in place to be able to catch something like this happening. This could have gone on forever. I think back to, well, I don't remember the guy's name, the referee in the NBA.
Donaghy.
Donahue. That went on for years before it was finally uncovered that he was doing that. I would guarantee that in today's day and age, that sort of thing would have been handled a lot quicker. And
it took like FBI wiretaps, whereas now it's like you've got one of these apps and they're like, whoa, why did somebody just bet $10,000 on a Jonte Porter under and he left the game early? Let's take a look at that. Like, that's so easy now to try. Easier. It's probably not easy. I shouldn't say
it's like prohibition. It's like all of the back alley, home brewers that were making all of these illegal alcoholic beverages because the whole thing was banned and everything was done in the dark. And it was seedy. It was shady. It was the underbelly of society. Same thing with like the bookies and like all the illegal gambling world. All this has done is brought what has been in the dark into the light.
This will surprise you, I'm sure. It was it's my grandpa or my great grandpa, I think, was a moonshiner during Prohibition.
That does not surprise me whatsoever.
Why? I love rules and these things. Yeah.
The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Man, there are some stories there. There's some of my favorite stories too, because this is not like New York City. This is like middle of nowhere, like everybody's friends anyway. Like it's just like really, really interesting stuff. Yeah.
That honestly explains a lot.
Yeah. Don't punish everybody when other people make bad decisions, I guess is the point. Let's all learn how to prevent them together. And I do. So I think that if we took these out of college betting, I think it's probably a good idea. And at the highest levels, that probably sucks for some people, right? Like, oh man, we love, college football basically, but you know what? Like, deal with it. Like, I don't have a problem with it. Maybe these leagues, maybe in leagues where there is a higher revenue share, it can become a part of it where it's like, okay, well, in the SEC, we're going to allow this for now. But I don't know how you do that. That doesn't seem, I think a blanket player prop ban is fine. I don't have any issue with it. And I'm curious to see where this goes. That investigation though is wild stuff. Wild. Like, they make TV shows out of that kind of stuff and the connections and where it goes. And so you can check that out if you want. But I did want to get to that today. We've got a lot of college basketball still to talk about on the show today, and we're going to do that. We will get you previews for the weekend of college hoops. Let's give you away some HTO, though, on the way out of this segment. So right now you can win a free iced tea, a free iced or hot coffee featuring Free Ring coffee from HTO. These will be good for you at either Wichita location or the location in Derby. Use them one at a time if you can, but you'll get 2 of them here. And you can enter the contest by texting the keyword T, that's TEA, to the short code 20357. That's T20357. You can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply on that. Good luck. All right, so we've got college hoops this weekend. We will take a look ahead at that. You mentioned March Madness, Tommy, coming to Wichita. I think you laugh at me when I talk about Kansas and really wanting them to get here, but I think it's becoming more relevant just because of where they sit right now in the Big 12. They have work to do to start the NCAA tournament the way they want to, and that includes a big one this weekend. They're all pretty big for Kansas. We will talk about Kansas. We will talk about K-State, who is coming along nicely, and we'll talk about Wichita State as well. A lot of college hoops talk as we make our way through, Tommy. It's the nitty gritty now. If you're, if you're Kansas State or Kansas, you kind of need to plan on, and expectations are different for the two programs, but you can't afford many more losses if you want to get where you want to be. Wichita State's a very, very different scenario right now, but these games all are high impact games now. The calendar turns to February tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that, for the Jayhawks on the road at Baylor this weekend, it's a difficult place to play. The last time that the Jayhawks won at Baylor in Waco, you had a guy by the name of Udoka Azubuike that scored a bunch of points for the Jayhawks. Like, that was, and Ochai Agbaji was on the team.
It's been a long time.
Christian Brown was a freshman and came off the bench and played, I think 15 minutes in the game. Like, it's been a long time since the Jayhawks have won against Scott Drew's team in Waco. And so it's a big test for them. Probably equally as big as the Wildcats going on the road to Ames and taking on Iowa State.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's as impactful, I think. Kansas, like when you look at their schedule, and we'll dig into this right on the other side, but they've got to have all of these games. They should beat Baylor. They're better than Baylor this year. You must be able to go get that win. If you're going to end up trying to be a 1 or 2 seed and playing right down the street from Lawrence here in Wichita, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room now. There's not going to be, 4 or 5 1 and 2 seeds out of the Big 12. So and right now Kansas is in that 5 spot. So we'll talk about that. We'll start there. We'll also hit K-State. We'll hit Wichita State in our next segment. Get you ready for a college basketball weekend. It's all Brockton Caster. It's Sports Daily. But quick shout out, Ted Woodward, our buddy, 30 years today at KNSS.
Wow.
Ted the Sports Head. Man, that's awesome. We'll be right back.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor. On your way to work, want to keep listening to Sports Daily even after you park the car with the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com. You can. Just download the app, visit Odyssey.com, search for KFH, download it today to get started. Lots of fun things for you on the Odyssey app there. Tommy, we're talking college hoops. I have been, putting out there into the universe. And I know I'm not the only one because I talk to people about this all the time. There is I want very, 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 very badly for KU to play in Wichita because we have the tournament this year. It's something like it is the last remaining goal for me for the college basketball season. Wichita State's not making the NCAA tournament or finishing at the top of the league unless they get lucky in the conference tournament. I say lucky, unless they play well in the conference tournament. K-State maybe still has a sliver of hope, more on them in a minute. But so this big goal for me is for the grand show in Wichita to be the best it can be, and that needs KU to be here to be the best it can be. Rick says he's a KU fan, and this team's not getting a 1 or 2 seed. I don't agree with that. Right now, if you look at the net, KU is in a position where they would essentially be a 2 seed. We have to remember with net rankings that it does not matter where teams finish in their conference. That isn't where the net ranking comes from. The net ranking is something totally different. It takes and compiles the entire body of work. We cannot ignore the massive wins KU has at the beginning of the season, including over Duke, right, and Michigan State, 2 teams that are very highly ranked in the net ranking. So those 2 are going to sit there. North Carolina is not as big a deal. And all the other Big 12 games that they play, they may very well, Tommy, end up 4th in the Big 12, but could easily still be inside the top 8 or so in the net. And that's what matters. That's how that seeding stuff is determined. So to your point, Rick, they look, we want them to win the Big 12 and do all that stuff too. And certainly they'll win enough games if they do that where they'll get there. But they can get there regardless of what happens in the Big 12. They can. But they're going to need to boost that resume as much as they can. So these road games, like a road game at Baylor, who currently sits 29 in the net, that's a big deal. That helps you a great deal. And that's a team they ought to be able to go on the road and win against. I think what comes into it is, well, yeah, are they going to go on the road to these teams at the top of the league and beat them? Maybe not, right? And you have to factor that in when you look at their total body of work. And if they're not that kind of team, then they got to go win these kinds of games.
I don't disagree with your thought process in all of this. I guess the reason why I've been not concerned about whether or not they're going to play in Wichita is because I know you keep saying we need to have them be a 1 or 2 seed to get them in Wichita. That's not true. They can be a 3 seed and play in Wichita. They can be a 4 seed and play. I'm looking right now at Joe Lunardi's bracketology. He currently has Wichita or has Kansas as a 3 seed playing in Wichita. And so
it can happen, but
this can happen. And I know what
but
you're
you
saying.
leave it to chance. Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Like, but they would have to be at the very top, to really get all of that out of hand. And honestly, I think the committee, they look at things like proximity, and they like that sort of thing plays into the role. So they don't have to be a 1 or 2 seed to play in this city.
They don't, but what happens is if they're a 3 seed and there is
they don't get priority. If there's a better fitting team in that market.
And so
closer.
like
but who's going to be closer to Wichita that is above them in the 1 and 2?
It's not that they're closer to Wichita than Kansas, it's that they're closer to Wichita than the other sites. You know what I mean?
I get it. But take a look at who's around, like, in that whole realm. I don't know if there's even going to be a team. Let
me pull up the tournament site.
I think they would get the benefit of the doubt in the Midwest region. Now, I guess they could go out to the West, or they could go, somewhere else.
Denver's in the mix. Cleveland's in the mix. Both of those not all that far away. So here are the sites.
Away than Wichita is.
Well, for Kansas, but not. Right. You got to look at everybody else involved, right? So you got Lexington, Providence, Seattle, Wichita, Cleveland, Denver, Milwaukee's not all that far away. Raleigh and Newark, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Indianapolis. There's a lot out there, right?
And if there were locations in the mix like Omaha, Des Moines, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, like, it would be different.
That would be better. Not Kansas City.
You're right. What I'm saying is that it would be a different scenario entirely. I don't think, I'm not even at the point yet where I'm concerned about this. And especially looking like, as of this morning, Lenardi has Kansas as a 3 seed in Wichita in the Midwest region. And even like looking at Jerry Palm over at CBS Sports today, he's got Kansas as the top 3 seed right now. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that if you continue to win, that they could get back into where they need to be.
They're the top. That's because they're a fringe 2 seed. I'm not saying they're out of position. I'm saying they got to be careful not to lose that position, right? Like, so let's just look at the teams in the net right now. And I'm not going to like track it by miles, but Wichita, I'm going to guess, is the closest team to Houston. It is the closest location to Houston, is the closest location to Iowa State, is the closest location to Texas Tech, who's right there in the mix. There are going to be a lot of, they got to be careful, because if any of those teams are ahead of them, now is Kansas going to come to Wichita as a 4 seed? Like, I don't know that they're going to be so fortunate that at that point, you're not rewarded in the same way. That's
as long as they stay in the top 3. And I know you've been saying first or second, 1 or 2, like they got to be, number 1 seed, number 2 seed. I think you can get down to number 3 and still probably be okay.
Maybe, but Tech's going to be in that mix, and that's a team in their Big 12 battle. And that's a team I think they are better than, and they will pass at the end of the day. And they're ahead of them right now in the net rankings, but it's right there. I mean, they're 12. And again, I'll have to look. I don't know on some of these, like Texas A&M is in right at 17, so they'd sort of be in that same kind of mix a little bit. Like, it's all those teams from the South. When you look at the sites, like Wichita's going to be a spot really for the Texas schools. I think maybe. I mean, it has to be.
But again, it's less about the Big 12 race and all of that, and more about the quad 1 record,
That's right.
the quad 1
That's
wins,
right.
the quad. And, right now, Kansas, even though, they've struggled I don't want to say struggled. They've dropped a few Big 12 games, including the Houston game. They played 8 quad 1 games so far. They're 4-4 in those games. That's pretty solid. And on top of that, they've got 5 losses on the season. 4 of those losses are to quad 1 teams.
That's why the Houston loss is excruciating. That may have been enough to lock it up. Honestly, that's why it's so that loss is real annoying. But all I'm saying is, like, when you go play a team like Baylor, you need to beat them. You don't want to give Baylor that kind of a win for their resume either, if they all of a sudden start playing well. I think there is some intensity and some, a little more than there should have been had they beat Houston, for example. They're just a couple of. All they are is, Tommy, honestly, all they are is handling their business away from still being okay, right? That's what they need to do. They still just need to handle their business. I would say there's a really good chance that they if you're looking at the teams right now that are the most highly ranked as far as the net goes, it's Iowa State, it's Houston, it's Kansas, Arizona, and Texas Tech. They're going to be able. They're going to beat one, if not more, of those teams before this season is over. So again, it's just, to me, with them, it's all about just handling your business. They don't have as much wiggle room as they would have had they beat Houston, right? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
And some of the other bracketology, sites, they've got teams like Marquette and Michigan State as 2 seeds, currently, but both of those teams have a net that's significantly lower than Kansas.
And
right
they would
now.
go somewhere else anyway. They're not poaching.
They would go somewhere else. So I'm looking at like teams like you mentioned, Iowa State. I don't know about Michigan State. Michigan came to Wichita last time. Michigan did. Michigan State didn't, but Michigan did. So from a proximity, point of view.
But they were a lower. Yeah, and it's all about where the sites are. Again, I think you look at Iowa State. I think you look at the Texas schools. Those are the teams that could mess this up for us. Now, there's also a world where maybe we get both Iowa State and Kansas. Like,
I think that's probably
we got Houston last time. We got Houston last time, and it was incredible. My mom's a Houston alum. My wife's a San Diego State alum. We also got San Diego State. It was the perfect mix. And that's what, people were like, oh, we want to get the second round. I'm like, no, you do not. You want the first year, the second weekend. I was like, you want the first weekend where all of those teams are coming in. It's a blast. All right, real quick. K-State, they get Iowa State. I don't know what kind of line we're going to see there, Tommy. I mean, I guess we take optimism in the fact that they could go to Ames and beat Iowa. Like, their best game is good enough to do that. It's just what's the likelihood that you see their best game in that scenario? We've seen their best game every game basically since the second half of Kansas. I mean, we have. Yeah. So there it is. I mean,
they're coming off of 2 double-digit wins back to back. They've got
both
a little bit of a winning streak going on, both at home. Also, keep in mind, Iowa State's coming off of a loss to Arizona, and so you never really like that. You never like that to happen,
that's not good.
You kind of be a little bit of the sacrificial lamb there. You're going to need the Wildcats to play the kind of ball that they played the last couple of games, where Doug McDaniel is asserting himself, and Coleman Hawkins is doing more things than just shooting.
I'm so happy with Coleman Hawkins. I really am.
You're going to need Hausen to have a really good shooting game. Like, there are going to be things
maybe
that
not
have to play out.
Don't count on 5 for 5 again from 3.
Right. But you're gonna need to have some of those things all align, like you've seen the last couple of games.
Aren't you happy for Hawkins? Like, they're finally now playing a brand, everyone around him, that does highlight his game and does let his strengths play through and not forces him to be a player that he is not. Right. That's not his game. This is what he's there to do, is to elevate these other guys. And then real quick, the Shockers, you got a chance to get your second win against Charlotte, second win in the conference. You cannot lose this game. I don't care if it's on the road. I don't care if they're playing at the North Pole. You cannot lose this game to Charlotte. Go get your second conference win.
Easier said than done. I think we can all cross our fingers and hope and wish and plead and beg and do all of those things.
Smashed them. It'd be incredible. But man, my goodness, it's at Charlotte and it's at South Florida. You go win the next 3 games. Like, come on now. Like, play the way you played against North Texas. Play that level of defense, and you will go win the next 3 games. Go do it. Get
yourself back into relevance.
Just
That's kind of where things are at right now.
I don't even know. I think we are where we were last year. It's not even about
me. No, I'm talking relevance with the fan base, right? Like, relevance with the community. Like, because I think at this point,
it's a tough ask.
It is. But if you win the next 3, you're still got a ways to go. But at least you've gotten a little bit of momentum going.
Mine is for them, for me, and there's a lot of be playing your best basketball by March 9th. Like, start it now and be playing your best basketball by the end of the season. And take your shot at the tournament. I would love if they'd win them all and elevate themselves to the placement in the conference standings that we are all more comfortable with. That'd be awesome, right? That'd be great. That's the thing, is we know based on the way that they've played that they are good enough to expect wins basically against everybody but Memphis and probably North Texas now on the road. They just have to do it, which they have not done. All right, we'll come back. More Sports Daily right after this.